A man finds out that a woman is living in his new apartment. There seems to be a woman living in the newly rented house. That night, he had just taken a can of beer out of the fridge, but when he turned around, a strange woman appeared in the room. Woman mistook David for a burglar, so she assured him if he promised to leave immediately, and she was willing to give him money. David was puzzled by the woman's words, because he had just signed a rental contract with the agent today. David wondered if it was a scam by the agent, but the woman said she had lived here for 5 years. She designed all the decorations in the house. Then she introduced David to the house. David wanted to follow and explain, but the woman's angry pace was too fast. When he went into the kitchen to explain, he was surprised to find no woman there. It was as if everything that had just happened was just a drunken hallucination, although his mind was full of doubts. But in order to prevent any more strangers from breaking in that night, David urgently put a new lock on the door. He had just finished his bath, ready to admire his face. David turned around. The woman disappeared again. He confirmed that the woman was not a hallucination of his drunkenness, so David was too scared to stay home alone. He immediately asked his friend to meet him, and told him everything that had just happened. But his best friend didn't think it was possible. He thought the strange woman. David fantasized about his late wife, because ever since his wife passed away, David has been immersed in memories of his wife every day. Even after 2 years, he still closed himself off to his past emotions. These 2 years have been encouraging David to come out. He even arranged a blind date for him 3 months ago, but David, who still misses his late wife, chose to run away. With the comfort of his best friend, David's mood was much more relaxed. When he got home, he opened another can of beer to see if the woman would show up again. He waited until he had finished his shower and wiped the mirror again. The woman never reappeared, so David climbed into bed, exhausted, but just as he closed his eyes, he was ready for a good night's sleep. Saw that David had not left his house. He was sleeping in his own bed. The woman's heart was burning with anger, but David didn't care. He was convinced that it was just a dream. The woman was furious at his behavior. To prove that this was her home, she said to David, "There's a red wine stain on the back of the pillow, that she had spilled it by accident, and she bought the sheets she's sleeping on. She still has the receipt from the mall in her drawer. That proves it." But when she looked at the nightstand, she realized that her picture was gone. She was convinced that David had thrown it away, so the woman didn't compromise anymore. She chose to call the police, but the moment she reached for the phone, her hand went right through the phone. The woman's figure disappeared into thin air. David once again wondered if he was still in a dream, but everything in front of him was so real. The next day, David rushed to the bookstore. He wanted to find a solution in the books, but after a long time in the bookstore, he didn't know what books to choose. Then a sales clerk came forward to ask him a question. After understanding David's situation, he recommended a lot of metaphysical books. When he got home at night, David followed the book's instructions for half a day, but nothing happened. Suddenly, David thought of something else. He grabbed a glass of water and threatened the woman with her favorite coffee table. Seeing the woman inside again, David hastened to introduce himself in a gentle way. After a few courtesies, David got to the point. He politely reminded Lisa that she had become a soul, and that it was time for her to leave for a new life. But Lisa didn't believe David. She stepped back, as she backed away from David's words, until she bowed her head. A furious Lisa tried to teach David a lesson, but she couldn't touch David. In a fit of rage, she tried to push David over, but she fell through the window. Lisa reluctantly accepted her soul's identity, but she didn't want to give up the house, so she decided to harass David to get rid of him. She would appear suddenly at any time and place. David had to wear pants every time he took a shower, and David became more and more cautious, but he was still surprised.